Where do you guys
Sorry.
beaming in from? You're
I come
perfect,
from
honey.
Canada.
Oh, sweet. Where in Canada are you?
I live in Alberta.
Oh, nice.
And I live somewhere in Sweden.
Oh, nice. We're triangulating. I'm in Los Angeles, California. My name is Zackary Drucker. If you guys want to look me up, you're welcome to. I spell my name Zackary. And yeah, I'm so curious. Vintology, I understand you wrote the Transmaxxer manifesto? Is that correct?
I wrote the Transmaxxing manifesto, all 14 versions of it.
Nice.
I didn't like write all the text obviously because there are testimonials from other people as well.
Yeah.
My testimony is in there as well. Depending on the version, I think it was like version 8 and further that you could see Val's transmaxing story as one of the things in there.
Hmm. Got it. And how did you first come across the community?
I personally found it from like a hate post on Facebook. It was a little bizarre, but it kind of like felt like something I did, to be honest. So I had to join and like figure out what it was all about.
On was it like within your network on Facebook or was it
It was a random group, a hateful Facebook group, might I add, that was just they talk about the weirdest political things usually, and yeah, they just mentioned transmaxing once, and I don't know, it just kind of clicked with me.
yeah. Did it click in a way that like the mainstream trans movement didn't? Did you see it as separate or as aligned or like what's your take on the distinction between the two?
It's a different. For one, we have this perception that being seen as a female is advantageous compared to being seen as a male. And we are also focused on personal gain here, we're not really focused on gender identity. So we are pretty close to the 4chan sphere. There are like 4chan and 4chan 4 and 4chan LGBT. Those four are probably the closer to us, but even they don't really like us too much.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I say that we have like different approaches and like different methodology to some of the aspects. But
Mm-hmm.
at the end of the day, we're all kind of like going through the same path of being trans. So I do see like there's like some sort of like connection there for sure.
Yeah, it's like the same ends, right? Like, Val, what has it been like for you in Alberta? Like,
Um, Typically they say it's like a very transphobic province here and such, but I've
mhm.
never experienced transphobia. It was actually just like a breath of fresh air because like before I was quite the incel and like I was actually like very depressed and suicidal. So like the first time
Yeah,
I ever like girl moded and went out, it was actually like a breath of fresh air. It seemed like people actually cared about me for once.
yeah. Because you were showing them your authentic self.
Uh Perhaps, I don't know. It didn't exactly feel too authentic when I was doing it, but I maybe I was authentic.
Yeah. What was that like? Like, where did you first, when you ventured out for the first time, what was your experience like? Where'd you go? Who'd you see?
Uh, well, it wasn't anything too special. It was just like a basic bottle depot, but it's amazing that I came there with like all my bottles and these guys, they just took it out of my hand and they did all the work for me. I didn't even have to touch a single bag after I entered the building. And then I
Yeah.
got my money and I walked out feeling happier than ever.
Sounds very affirming. When was
Yeah.
that? Like, how many years ago?
It's probably been like, close to 10 years ago. I wasn't on
Oh,
HRT or anything back then, but I know that a lot of the transmaxing methodology says that you should try to pass as a woman. I think I probably did kind of pass as a woman based on like how they were treating me.
yeah. It makes sense. Your voice is very feminine. It's unspookable. You have an unspookable voice.
Thank you.
And um, was there a transmaxing community 10 years ago, or were you like on your own independent journey and then transmaxing kind of?
I was on my own, like, I don't think transmaxing was a thing back then, but I felt like I was pushing like the same narrative as transmaxing was back then, and so sometimes I do
Yeah.
feel like a spiritual successor in some aspect.
Yeah, one of the founders. Would you say that like transmaxing is an offshoot of incel culture, or how do you see the link between the two communities?
Um, well, I think it's more of a way of getting out of like a dangerous mindset. I think even seldom like it kind of revolves around helplessness and hatred, and that's not a good cycle to be around. We here at
Yeah,
Transmaxxing actually like suggest that you have to like resolve your inceldom and like stop identifying as such.
yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Think we are really aligned with the more radical incel communities. I think this is probably closer to the Luxmaxing sphere, where people are willing to like modify their body for the sake of better dating success. There is
Yeah.
Luxmaxing and then there is Transmaxing.
Hmm. That makes sense. Yeah. Um, can I ask how old you guys are?
I,
Out
I
of
am 27.
curiosity. Oh, you're a baby.
I think I am of
Thanks.
similar age as well, actually.
Okay. Um, so I'm 42. I was born in 1983, and I transitioned over 20 years ago.
Wow.
Yeah, so that's my journey. Things have changed many times over in that span of time, but back then there was so little awareness um, of trans people, and yeah, it's just expanded and retracted and moved forward and back, and yeah, it's
Yeah,
been a wild journey.
yeah, right now in America we are actually a bit worried regarding the political situation there. Like you might feel somebody as well, I assume, with Trump and Project 2025 people. But we are of course a global community, so not everyone here is from America.
Yeah. Is the transmaxing community dispersed around the world? Is it primarily US and European? Like, what's your sense of where people are entering from?
I think it's mostly from United States and Europe, and Valle from Canada, but she's actually a minority. I don't actually know any other Canadian here.
I will say that it seems like there's quite a few that are like from the more Latin regions, like Mexico and like Brazil and Argentina and like South America.
Hmm.
It is kind of around the world, but yes, a lot of it tends to commonly be from like North America, like more first world countries as we know of them.
Yeah.
I think it's partly
And
because the server is English only, so if you don't speak English, you will not really be able to use this space because we don't support other languages here.
totally. I mean, I'm curious to your point, Ventology, is that like how the political context has changed so much in the past year or less. If that has changed the community at all, or
I think one
how,
important change is that right now transitioning in America isn't as attractive as before, but honestly, like I was warning about the development years ago, like even under Joe Biden, I was like predicting that United States will become a dictatorship. So I'm not really too surprised about the recent development. Like this was started when things were looking a lot better for trans people politically speaking in America. I don't think it's
Mhm.
really changed much in Europe, to be honest. It's basically the same as before. So it's like mainly United States.
Yeah. Since we're so worldwide, it's like there's not as much despair, but like there are some people that are like very concerned about the political climate of America because they do live there.
Yeah. I mean, so many of the kind of political conditions are like global, right? I mean, yeah, it's not only in the US that the tides are turning.
Yeah,
Did somebody just join us?
I wouldn't actually worry too much in Europe. Like, I think it's mainly dangerous in America due to how this can turn out, which we did talk about in previous podcast episodes. I don't feel
Yeah.
like Europe is aggressively transphobic. It's mostly under the radar here still.
Yeah, definitely. Um, how would you characterize like the political leanings of transmaxers? Do you think it's relatively diverse, or does it lean right or lean left? Like, what are your impressions of the community?
I feel like this group is fairly diverse. I think in general, people here tend to not really believe too much in feminism and that like mainstream ideology. So this is probably the common factor here is that people here tend to not really believe in mainstream ideologies as too much.
Yeah.
But in terms of views, I will have to do a poll about that. I can't really talk too much about it right now. Like if you want to know, I can like do a survey or something.
Yeah, what is your take, though?
It's very diverse. I would say that, that's oftentimes even in like the mod channels, like there's disagreements happening and I do think that we try to like be all inclusive and that happens for the most part, other than the bad apples kind of get sifted out. Which
Yeah.
sometimes it's hard to get land in here, to be honest.
Yeah, it's hard to tell online. Is there a particular like bad apple anecdote that's notable?
Um I mean there's like a couple the people who come back and forth. Let's see, is any of them like I don't think any of them are real dangers, but like some of these people have real sad lives that they just make a new account, they come back in, and then they start chatting in VC or something. Something
Hmm.
about like anime lists and like what's the best TV show. It's kind of cringe sometimes because we just want to talk about other things, but this guy wants to talk about anime or whatever fixation is, and
Totally.
but yeah,
Um,
there's been like any sort of real danger people that have been in here.
yeah. How have things changed just like in the past few months? I'm curious about um, the moment of transmaxing like hitting the media and it being more widely known.
I don't think this place has changed that much. There are people that are kind of fed up with the bullshit that are being reported. But
Mm.
we don't really notice it too much in the server because most people don't really find themselves here anyway.
Yeah, I feel like it's been like kind of like the usual. I know I only joined like at I called it the one because it was like the initial application of something. Like there was one
Mhm.
article long ago, and that's kind of like what kicked off a lot of things. But it seems like it's the same stuff, you know. There's hate posts that bring people in that kind of like feels to transmaxing. There's the typical trolls that come in and then like do their thing. Sometimes they get banned. Sometimes they just get timed out for a week and they leave. And you know, people come. It's like a normal Discord server, I'd say, and I don't think anything crazy has ever happened because of the media coverage.
Yeah. Have you guys ever like convened in person, or is it the entirety of the community online? Is it?
The entirety of the community is currently online. I've been thinking of like doing public outings and trying to rep for transmaxing, but I'm like trying to figure out like a persona and like outfit and like everything to make it like perfect.
Yeah, absolutely. What would that be like? Or what do you think? Like, what are the myths that should be dispelled about transmaxing? Or what would you like to convey to people that they don't know?
I feel like there's a couple misconceptions people have. I
Mhm.
think honestly they don't like read enough into it to understand. And like one of them is like where they think it's like men trying to take advantage of women's faces.
Yeah,
And it's more so actually becoming a woman and like actually changing your sex through HRT.
yeah,
Yeah, the formal definition of transmaxing is transitioning for personal gain with the perception that being seen as a female will be advantageous for you compared to being seen as a male. So this actually includes like anyone who transitions and fit those criteria. So we are not actually only targeting incels, and before I started transfaction I actually tried to like suggest transitioning to incels and it just didn't really work out because I didn't want to, so I actually had to shift away from that to get the community.
sorry, what was the last part? Shifting away.
I had to shift away from that in order to grow the community and have success with transmaxing. So it only took off once I broadened it, and this is also when I coined the term transmaxing. It's when I had this broader focus.
Like, in that wave of media attention, did you feel that transmaxing was being criticized by the mainstream trans community or by anti-trans groups, or did it
I
not
think we
register?
we found a whole mix of like different people talking about it, but they always find one reason or another to pick it apart and like
Mhm.
honestly they never see the whole image and like they just kind of like make like false statements because like there's something else more to it than just like the simple deductions they make.
Yeah, it's like nuances scarce
I mean,
in this era.
there is this general thing with media that they have to focus on getting clicks, so they might have like a clickbait article, and also general
Yeah.
people who wrote about transmaxing didn't really support it. Obviously, like most people do not like agree with transmaxing manifesto, like, and like even my political views, like I have been out of the mainstream for like over 10 years now, so like what I believe in is not really that popular, but we are fairly diverse here, so while it was like initially shaped by my personal views, I'm not sure how much impact that actually has right now.
Yeah. I'm curious, like when you first encountered the idea of transmaxing valves, did you feel like did it solve something? Did it offer you an alternative to the mainstream trans movement? Yeah. Do you feel
Um,
like at this point that it like kind of like solved a quandary for you, or that you found a place to belong?
I do think it helped me find a place to belong. it allowed me to be more expressive. One thing I didn't really like about other trans places is it kind of feels like you're walking on eggshells, not knowing
Hmm.
if you're like allowed to say this or that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I mean, I guess I'm just asking about like, did it like
Oh yeah, oh yeah,
your
yeah, yeah.
your journey started 10 years ago. So I'm like, it's interesting that transmaxing kind of entered the fold maybe like halfway through your journey. And I'm curious about like what it offered you that the mainstream trans movement didn't have.
So,
And
um,
yeah.
a big thing is I didn't really click, but I don't think I ever like dipped my toes too far into like the trans spaces. I
Yeah.
think part of it was like I had like a little bit of denial of being trans and stuff, even if
Hmm.
I was like going through the same process.
Yeah.
And I don't know.
I feel like a lot of people don't really fit in with the mainstream community, so this is why we have those like other communities like on 4chan and what is Discord servers that are not really as known as this one. Like we are one of the more like publicly known alternatives to the mainstream, but we are not actually the only one. And there are like a lot of people who feel like they don't really fit in with the mainstream, and this is partly why we had success with Transmaxxing and getting a lot of members.
Yeah. And for somebody who's never
Another
heard, oh, tell
another
me.
big Another big part for me was like I guess I wasn't really looking to get like really in depth with all this trans stuff, and
Hmm.
like something about maxing just like caught me in, and it made me understand myself a whole lot more, and like
Hmm.
made me better informed on like how to approach HRT and other things like that that I may have not known, and I may have been making bad decisions like staying on spironolactone if I was like to just follow the mainstream narrative.
Yeah. And so it offered a space for you to like share information and information gather. Is that
Yes,
correct?
I think that Transmaxxing is a really great place for like an information hub. There's like a lot of very well informed people. Vinci
Yeah.
sometimes does like a lot of work finding very like well published sources to share with us, and it's a good read. And it's like sometimes a lot of people have different takes as well. So sometimes you can find like something different that may not be fully proven to work, but it helps you out.
Yeah.
What I should tell you maybe is that I do have a formal education in mathematics and physics at the university, but I've
Hmm.
actually learned on my own how to read the scientific studies, and you actually notice that in the Transmaxxing Manifesto, where I go over various studies and prove, for example, that there are studies on intersex children where you see that gender identity is not just genetic, there is a social component to it. And this might be like sensitive in the mainstream community because they might not want to believe that, but because they did those unethical experiments on intersex children, which I think is still going on actually, but they might not do any research. But then
Mm.
thanks to like those more obscure studies I managed to hunt and find, I was able to at least demonstrate that we're into something here, that what we believe is actually correct and what the mainstream believes is wrong actually.
Um, that's interesting. So, um, Mentology, are you referring to like trans pediatrics as well? Like the
I mean, this does extend to the medical establishment as well, so I can name a couple of examples. For one, I do not recommend puberty blockers because I looked up studies on cis children. This is not on
Mhm.
people, But we do actually have decent data when they were used on people who had earlier puberty than what was politically desired. Because if someone has like puberty at like 10, it might be like sensitive politically or socially speaking. So then they delay it. But then we found out actually when I read the studies on this that it actually causes a reduction in intelligence, which is pretty alarming, and it was statistically significant as well in at least one study. Another difference is that we do not support SRS because current results are not good enough for one reason. And I personally think that there is value in keeping the option to have biological children without just relying on banked sperm, because that is a bit impractical. But currently, even if you start HRT, it seems like often you are able to regain your fertility, and this is a reason not to have SRS or vasectomy.
Yeah.
And
Absolutely. What? Go on.
there's also other advice regarding HRT that I think is fairly popular among the rest of the community. It's not really specific to us, but what we did suggest was monotherapy instead of relying on anti-androgens, because it seemed to be better for your health to not rely on any anti-androgen for suppressing testosterone. And when it comes to that, some endocrinologists will be like do the same thing as we are suggesting, and others will be like do stupid stuff instead. So it kind of depends on which doctor you go to. So you kind of hit or miss if you go to the official system. So this is if I have to give advice on that, so people do something that makes sense for them.
Yeah.
Clarify. We do not suggest SRS, but we do help like give more informed choices if people do want to pursue that path as well.
Yeah. And Val, have
It's
you had an okay time navigating the medical system in Canada? It's pretty accessible, right? I mean,
um well, I wasn't really up to date with all the knowledge of what you can do, so I waited 3 years on a wait list from 21 to 24.
oh my God.
I personally didn't think it was important. I didn't see the importance of HRT because I never was really in those spaces at that time.
Yeah. Interesting.
That's how come I was very thankful about like transmaxing me, helping me like get more informed about my own health and like my own pursuing my own like life better.
Yeah. That's amazing. Thank you guys so much for talking to me. I'm gonna figure out how to add you as friends. I'm so sorry that I'm like new to Discord. I've never used this before.
I don't know if you can see notifications. There might be like a box on the top right. Click friend. You should see
Yeah.
like a little notification and see me
Oh,
as a friend
sweet.
request.
And we have, yeah, I got you. Beautiful.
Yay.
Well, I'd love to stay in touch and check in again. I had just limited time today, but it's been wonderful connecting with both of you.
Yeah, there might be
And
like
hi,
Yes, thank
Noel.
willing to talk as well.
Yeah, that would be perfect. And yeah, I wanted to connect while you guys were all available, but yeah, I would love to just um follow up and have like a deeper dive, maybe just individually, and have more. I'll have more time next week too.
Yeah, like if you want to like talk more about the Transmaxxing manifest and the specific parts, I'm probably the best person to answer. if you want to like have stories about people transitioning, then I am not really a good person to talk to because I have no like direct experience with it. But then there are like other people in the community who will probably be able to participate in something, and it depends on what kind of thing you want to produce, like if you want to do something more personal or more general.
Yeah, I mean, all of the above. I feel like the way in is always the personal stories. And then, yeah, I think this is a really fascinating community. And thank you for that offer. And thank you all for your willingness and openness to talk to a stranger.
Yeah, thank you as well. I hope you have a lovely day.
Yeah,
You too, darling. Thank you all. Catch you later.
See
Bye,
ya.
everyone.